Another great night in professional wrestling as Kenny Omega accepts Bryan Danielson's challenge to a match, and it is confirmed we are getting that next week in New York City. And on NXT, Tommaso Ciampa regains Goldie in the revamped version of NXT 2.0. We're going to jump into all of this tonight on the Debrief.
Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out!
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Debrief. I'm Jose G. Next to me, the top Chico himself, Rico El Glorioso. And we're here on Sportskeeda Wrestling to talk to you about what went down this week on the brand new revamped version of NXT, now known as NXT 2.0. And tonight's AEW Dynamite, which Rico was electric. Tonight's episode was fire. What did you think, man?
It is essentially a go-home show when they are really amping up Dynamite and Rampage Grand Slam next week at Arthur Ashe Stadium. It felt like a go-home show with a lot of promos and a lot of setup for it next week, so I can't wait to get into it with you, Jose.
That's right, guys. We're going to jump into everything that went down tonight and everything that went down last night on NXT. But before we do that, make sure you guys jump in on the comments, sound off your questions, everything that you post on there. We're going to put them on screen so you guys will be a part of the show. Subscribe to the Sportskeeda Wrestling YouTube channel. Make sure you go ahead, hit the subscribe button, smash that notification bell so you never, ever miss when we drop brand new content. We dropped an exclusive last night from Johnny Gargano addressing the NXT universe after the broadcast. So go ahead and check that out. It's a really cool video, very heartfelt message from Gargano to the fans. It was great. So go ahead and check that out. Plus, we got all sorts of original content. Smack Talk every Friday night with Dirty Dutch Mantel, Rick Ucchino, SP3. Monday nights, you got Vince Russo with Dr. Chris Featherstone, and myself, Enrico, every Wednesday night, breaking down NXT and AEW, plus every single day in the top story, bringing you all the top story and news that you guys need to know. So let's jump into this, Rico. Let's jump into AEW, bro, because AEW was a really good show from start to ending. There was really nothing about this show that I could be like, there was nothing that I liked. And there's usually something that I don't like about AEW, either a segment or something. There was quite a few vignettes. I'm looking at our notes, and there was quite a few vignettes on tonight's show. So if I had to nitpick anything about tonight, was just the amount of vignettes. However, I mean, you start off the show with Adam Cole. You close out the show with Moxley and Minoru Suzuki. Then before that, you have an amazing promo with Danielson and Omega. Omega accepts. So we're going to have essentially a pay-per-view match on free TV next Wednesday night. How do you feel about it? What did you like about tonight?
I think essentially, I guess one of the last lines that Tony Schiavone said is we are getting essentially a pay-per-view across 2 nights next week. Granted, it's not, side by side. One's going to be Wednesday night with the regular time, and there's going to be 2 hours of Rampage next week. So like Ozzy Medeiros said in the chat, yes, it's going to be 4 hours of wrestling. So we're getting a pay-per-view split into 2. So it feels like that's what they're building to. They're building to 2 really stacked cards, and they're really taking advantage of having this first ever wrestling match at Arthur Ashe Stadium. So I do like the build-up. I like how they're setting up, again, they're putting all the pieces in place. Even your boy Miro, the Redeemer, God's greatest champion, had a promo where it looks like he's going to be basically winning a car from Fuego del Sol next week, unfortunately, or this week. I don't see all these matches that keep getting built up. I can't tell if it's going to be for Grand Slam, Dynamite, Rampage Grand Slam, or if it's this week's Rampage. All I know is that they're setting up some great matches, and yeah, just like you said, we got some pretty good matches across the board with Adam Cole. We got some good matches we got coming up later that you were wondering, and we were talking about it in the text, like Are the Inner Circle and like Pinnacle kind of broken up because they really haven't been doing a lot of things together?
No, they made it apparent that they're not broken up. Like nobody, like it's what you said. It's what you said. They're New Japanning it.
New Japanning it, bro. And they're showing the example with Lance Archer and Minoru Suzuki, bringing back Suzuki-gun here, where they're part of this faction. They don't always have to be together. That doesn't mean they're not still part of it. But when it comes down to the fight and you need the hands, you got your boys to back you up, and that's essentially what we're getting here. So, man. Kicking off, not only did we get a solid match between Adam Cole and Frankie Kazarian, like two vets in the ring, it's what happened afterwards also, where first thing Adam Cole does, grabs the mic, got to give a story time with Adam Cole, baby.
It's story time with Adam Cole, baby.
And this leads to a 6-man tag match that we are going to get at one of the Grand Slams between the Super Click. So there was already talks about them having gotten the copyright for the term Super Click, and now we know why. It is official. Adam Cole and the Young Bucks are their own little segment of the Elite, kind of how like Bullet Club, and it was the Elite. Now it's the Elite with the Super Click. So we got Adam Cole and the Young Bucks are going to go up against Christian Cage and Jurassic Express. So that's going to be an amazing 6-man tag. I can't wait to see.
How did you like that call out from Christian Cage? Addressing Cole, he's like, you lost the Wednesday Night War and you're gonna lose next week again. What?
There were a lot of low blows thrown this week.
Boom!
Especially like
crazy.
Dan Lambert and Jericho. There were a lot of shots that were taken by a lot of people.
A former UFC champion who's a beast.
He's backstage.
And with another MMA trained fighter. What is it? Something of a bill? Is that what he called him?
Yeah.
That was great. That was great, man. But yeah, man, I thought this opening match was pretty cool. I kind of knew that Adam Cole was going to get the win on this. It's his in-ring debut. Frankie Kazarian did a great job with him, and we'll see what's next for Adam Cole. Next week we get the I think they're teaming up Super Click, him, Young Bucks. And they're going to be going up against Jurassic Express, right?
Yep. Which, again, I can't wait to see Adam Cole and Jungle Boy. I think those two guys are going to mesh really well in the ring together. I mean, granted, Adam Cole can
They should mesh pretty well.
Him and Jungle Boy, I think they're going to put on a spectacular showing in that match. And then we got a whole bunch of other matches that got set up in these three promos that we have coming up. We got a video vignette with Butcher and the Blade are going to be challenging the brand new AEW Tag Team Champions and the Lucha Bros. That's going to be this Friday on Rampage. Fuego del Sol, like we said, he got a new card thanks to his new contract with AEW, putting it on the line against Miro, which is going to be on Friday Rampage as well. And then, of course, we got some more MJF stuff with him not only talking down Jersey, but the dig to Brian Pillman. Let me talk to him. Oh, wait, no. What am I?
No. He's down here. Whoa.
So many low blows. So many shots fired today, man.
I don't know, man, but do you think, like, Junior is okay with that? Like, he can't be okay with that, right?
I think he did. I think Tony
Khan he's like, sure, do it.
Yeah, I would assume that Tony Khan would be the kind of guy that would not let something like that fly. Like, we saw what happened with Max Caster. Like, he would not let something like that fly unless, it's checked with the person you're going up against, I would assume.
But the thing with Max Caster, like, he didn't even know about it until after it was broadcasted. So now, like, Tony Khan's, like, literally
that's why, like, now
supervising everything.
Yeah, you have to go
but again, like, that's kind of personal, because that's, like, a really sensitive subject. It's like if you started talking about Chris Benoit in the WWE, it's to that point, like, what he did. Not saying that what Pillman, he took his own life, but he didn't kill everybody else around him, It's a really sensitive subject. But, like, I don't know. Like, do you think – I don't know, man. What do you guys think? Sound off in the comments. Do you think, like, did MJF – do you think Pillman Jr. cleared it? Or, I mean, I don't know, because there's just, like, a lot of personal stuff there. It's like, I don't know, like, airing all that dirty laundry out there like that. I mean, it is professional wrestling, so.
But that's going to get heat.
It's good, though. Head games.
Yeah. If there's anybody that's going to build heat off of that, it's one Maxwell Jacob Friedman. So, we're going to see this match also. That one, I just pulled it up because I was getting tired of looking back and forth. So that one's going to be on Dynamite Grand Slam next week, that we're going to get MJF versus Hillman Jr. We had a solid tag team match. Dante Martin, of course, his brother's still recovering. So it's one brother and another brother teaming together with Matt Sydal going up against FTR. We already knew what was going to happen. FTR got the win there, which is going to set up what's going to happen with FTR a little bit later. But, man, more vignettes. This time we got Lance Archer and Minoru Suzuki. Basically, they're playing, and I love that they're playing off of what the internet's been talking about, how
the Minoru Suzuki incident?
Exactly, the incident, because his music got cut off too early, so the fans couldn't sing along.
No, what really tripped me out about the Minoru Suzuki incident is the amount of memes that come out of the Minoru Suzuki incident, because it's like, I'll never forget where I was when we had got the Minoru Suzuki incident. And if you don't follow New Japan like hardcore like that, you really wouldn't get it. But basically, the whole Minoru Suzuki incident was that Minoru Suzuki's music did not get played all the way through for the crowd to chant the main part of the song, which is the Minoru Suzuki part, right? It was like Karana Sichua, some shit like that, right?
Yeah.
So tonight they did it. They did it justice. They did it play all the way through.
They gave enough time for him to walk out to let that part play out.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool that they did that. But I just love how the internet just completely lost its shit. And they're just like, how dare they? This is a travesty. Why would you cut off? It happens. It's production time, guys. It happens.
They don't got that time.
They're not paying for that extra 60 seconds like USA does on, with NXT. So it happens, right? But not tonight.
Oh, no. They made sure they got every bit of that song. And with the vignette letting them know that we are going to be seeing Lance Archer and Minoru Suzuki. We're going to see Suzuki-gun in action versus Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston next week at Dynamite Grand Slam. And we saw them later on in the main event, which, surprise, Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston beat 2.0. We knew that was going to happen. But it was to set up the after part where, again, Suzuki comes out and Lance and Suzuki battle and brawl with Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley all throughout the arena, which is a good send-off, and especially setting up this tag team match that we're going to be getting on one of the days of the Grand Slam next week. But, man, Malachi Black.
Oh, my God.
Intro, they always do his intro right, man. Especially his music is always on point, which, of course, he comes out into the ring. So we knew this was going to be to set up him and Cody. But what I found interesting was they got Rosario Dawson, the beautiful, wonderfully talented Rosario Dawson.
Boricua, Puerto Rican.
Man, they're looking fine, but she was wearing the Nightmare Family stuff. So, yeah. But Malachi Black calls her out and tells her that she's wearing the enemy. The enemy. So was
she in The Mandalorian? Like, she's a badass. She always plays a badass.
Yeah, she was in The Mandalorian. Oh, she was a complete badass in there. And she was a badass here because as Malachi Black confronts her, Cody comes down from the steps. And as he turns around being distracted by Cody, she jumps on his back and just starts attacking him. Luckily for him, she did not have a lightsaber on her and just completely destroy him like we've seen in The Mandalorian. But he winds up just gently tossing her off to the side. And guess what? We had another brawl. This time we had a brawl between Cody and Malachi Black fighting up and down the stairs. And they are pretty sure going to be having a match at one of the there's going to be a Dynamite. It's going to be on Wednesday. Next Wednesday is going to be Cody Rhodes versus Malachi Black. And I hope it's a squash again.
So we got a really good comment up in here, Rico. This is going back to MJF's promo with Brian Pillman and the Manzano Zane. I honestly think there's certain things you shouldn't touch as a professional wrestler. And one of those things is personal issues that the wrestlers' families have gone through. I feel the MJF went a little bit too far in this promo. I understand he's a heel. I mean, sometimes you just got to try to catch that as much heat as you can if you're trying to, portray that heel character. And I get it. Again, it goes back to the question. I mean, did he clear it? Did he clear it with Pillman? If Pillman cleared it, then it's cool. But if he didn't, I mean, it's kind of, it's just, it just doesn't sit well.
Yeah, I think it's really just to like separate MJF from the rest of the heels trying to be the top heel. Because you can always get the hometown heat. You can run down the sports teams. You can run down the local superstars. But he wants to go further than that. He wants to be the top heel. Then you have to separate yourself. You have to distance yourself. And one way is doing that is maybe going into those kind of uncharted territories or those territories that you shouldn't be crossing, those boundaries you shouldn't, or at least pushing those boundaries as far as you can. Which, if there's anybody that's going to do it well, it's going to be young MJF. But another returning match that we have that's set up for Rampage this Friday. Anna Jay is going to be making her Rampage debut against the Bunny. And who was it saying? So Stephen Chambers in the comments saying he's getting a little burnt out with the dissension with the Dark Order. I guess dissension and the dissection. But he hopes that Bray Wyatt or Wyndham Rotunda shows up next week because, again, there was that whole little fighting between who's still part of the Dark Order, who isn't, who left.
Oh God!
Because Alex left, and then Evil Uno's trying to take control. It's all over the place, and the girls weren't having it. So it's only going to be Ty Conti in her corner. The rest of the Dark Order are not going to be at her side because she doesn't trust them right now. So that's another match that got set up. But speaking of great promos and crossing the lines, Dan Lambert was throwing some fire tonight, only to be reciprocated by Chris Jericho. And man, those two guys threw down in this little promo battle, and Jericho just continues to kill it, man.
I learned something from this promo.
What's that?
Don't deny a Jericho fan their entrance song. Entrance song. Don't deny it because they will sing it, and they sure did.
The worst song ever.
I thought that was great. I thought that the crowd was like, "Oh, you're not going to give us our song? We're going to sing it anyway." I thought that was good. I thought the exchange between both of them was great. Some good foul language in there, during that promo. Tons of it. I mean, tonight they really let the shit bombs down, but it's okay. It's TNT. It's cable. It's fine. They can do it.
Even Bryan Danielson throwing out the S bomb out there. Out of all people.
Yeah, man. So yeah, that looks like we're gonna get a tag team next week at Grand Slam. Jericho
on Rampage. Mm-hmm.
Is it on Rampage?
On Grand Slam Rampage. So next Friday.
Oh, Grand Slam Rampage. Okay.
Yep. So we're gonna get Chris Jericho and Jake Hager versus the Men of the Year, who we haven't seen in ring on TV for a while. Just only talking with Dan Lambert. But yeah, we'll get to see Scorpio Sky and all ego Ethan Page in the ring against Jericho and Hager.
Guys, if you're just tuning in, make sure you are hitting that like button. If you're watching us on Facebook, make sure you are sharing tonight's video in your favorite wrestling group. Tag your friends in the comment section so they can join the conversation. Talk about AEW tonight, talking about NXT 2.0 tonight. Make sure you do that. Also, if you're watching us on YouTube, hit that like button, that subscribe button, and smash that notification bell so you never, ever miss when we drop brand new content, all right? So thank you guys so much. Let's keep talking here. Jade Cargill, Layla Hirsch, they threw down tonight. This is the best match I've seen Jade Cargill be in. Layla Hirsch really brought it to Jade tonight. What'd you think?
Oh, absolutely. I was just going to say that's been her best match. And ironically enough, it's against pretty much the shortest woman in that division in legit Layla Hirsch. But it just goes to show how legit Layla Hirsch really is, but she can help put somebody over like a Jade Cargill. But man, that size difference. That made that last move, the Jaded, look even more devastating when she's just holding up poor Layla and just walking around the ring before dropping her.
It's funny because for like a split second, you see Layla Hirsch's face, that look. If you pause it just at the right second, you can see that face of despair. Like, oh God, I'm about to hit my face against the mat. But that was actually a really good match. Layla Hirsch actually did really bring it to Jade. So this was definitely Jade's best match. But I did want to bring it back really quick because there's something that I'm not liking with this booking. And it's someone pointed it out that Punk will be feuding with jobbers, referencing to Powerhouse Hobbs and Tate and Team Taz. And this is something that I actually agree with because I mentioned it last week. Why are we getting CM Punk versus Team Taz now? This is not good. I don't know.
Because he wants to face the younger guys. Yes, he wants to help put them over, give them a nice rub. We can't have everybody. We can't, as great of a match it would be, we are not going to have a triple threat match between Kenny Omega, Bryan Danielson, and CM Punk. That's not going to happen. Right now, Daniel Bryan is, fighting with the big dogs. So CM Punk is just chilling with the lower card for now until he's eventually going to get up there. But this gives him a chance to have these matches. I think really this is to set up him versus Ricky Starks. So I can see Punk getting the win over Powerhouse Hobbs on their match next Friday at Rampage Grand Slam to basically set up CM Punk versus Ricky Starks, because that's the guy he really wants to have a match with. So he's going to be facing off the guys really he wants to first. And then when the storyline allows it, he'll go after the top dogs. Like he can go after Miro in the TNT Championship. He can go after, Kenny and the AEW Championship. Because, and to answer your question from earlier, no, it's not going to be a title match. This is strictly a match just to see who is better. And, I'm here for it. This is the match that we wanted to see. We're going to see it next week at Dynamite Grand Slam. So we are going to get Kenny Omega and Bryan Danielson in a non-title match, which I'm sure is still going to tear the house down. So we can't all be in these big-name, big-time matches. So CM Punk's just going to have to chill for a little bit.
Especially if you're going to be with the company for a while, you can't just have all the top guys from the get. And I get that. But I just feel like with Team Taz, you could with every single faction that's in AEW and you pick Team Taz. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Now there's even more heel factions now that the Gun Club.
He could have picked the Pinnacle. He could have started with MJF. He could have started, I don't know. I'm just saying they could have better utilize that.
Yeah, like that could be a spot better utilized by CM Punk than a Brian Pillman Jr. But they're also trying to help develop Brian Pillman Jr. also. So, I get what they're trying to do. I just now starting to feel like there's a lot of cooks in the same kitchen. So we're just gonna have to wait and see how this continues to play out. Because one of those main talents that we have there is Darby Allin, who revisited his feud essentially with the chairman Sean Spears. This time, of course, getting the win, but now we got FTR involved, and Tully Blanchard, of course, already saying that he's kind of ready to have a match against Sting, getting more involved in this match too, because after Darby beat Sean Spears, FTR come in, they lay him down. They even hit the spike pile driver on the icon Sting, and then Tully Blanchard comes in, and just like Sean did earlier, taking off Darby Allin's face paint, he did the same thing to Sting. So it's starting to get a little bit more personal. So this feud is going to continue to happen here. So we're going to be getting that tag match at some point because it is not on here yet.
I think it's supposed to be next week.
Probably. If not next week, then Friday. But we'll get it. The tag team match of Darby Allin and Sting going up against FTR. Oh, that's going to be on next Wednesday's Dynamite. Yeah, Dynamite Grand Slam.
Sean Smith saying that was fake Sting. Guys, fire off your ratings for this week's AEW Dynamite. Let us know from 1 to 10. What was your favorite moment? And let us know the number. Go ahead and chime in, sound off in the comments right now. While you're doing that, hit that like button and engage with the show. But to close out Dynamite, we had Eddie Kingston, Mox, going up against 2.0 with Daniel Garcia. They tried to get the upper hand by attacking them before the match. Obviously, that did not work. But it was just the way that the show closed out with Suzuki, Lance Archer, trying to get on Mox. Love this.
Yeah. But overall, man, it just was so many vignettes, man. And
there was a lot of vignettes. This
Friday, they're setting up the essential pay-per-view in 2 days of next Wednesday's Dynamite, next Friday's Rampage Grand Slam at Arthur Ashe. The matches at least were good. So I'm going to give it a 7.5, man. Like, it's just, I think one more solid match instead of having these vignettes would have done it for me. But we had 2 brawling segments. We had Cody Rhodes and Malachi Black brawling. And then we had the end, Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley versus Suzuki Gun brawling. So, they didn't do anything different with those two other than Rosario Dawson. So I might give an extra half point back just for her. But for now, I'm going to stick to 7.5 on this one.
I'm going to go with 8. I'm going to give it an 8 this week. I think from a match quality standpoint, I think they did way better than last week. The only thing that really killed me was the vignettes. There was just a lot of vignettes, but some of these vignettes made sense, going into next week, what's going on. And it's okay. And it's okay to have some weeks where NXT does it all the time. A lot of the times they'll do it for their go-home show to take over. They'll fill the show with vignettes just to kind of catch you up with what's been going on with the storylines, right? Mm-hmm. So, I think eight is fair, for at least for me. Anthony Manzano says, my rating is a 9.5. I didn't really have a favorite moment on the show. It was just a good show in general, Jose. Stephen Chambers, 7.5. He agrees with you. Ozzy Medeiros, AEW is a 9. Dale Munson on YouTube, 8.5. So, guys, keep firing off your ratings while we jump into NXT 2.0 because that's how they're calling it now, Rico. Is that a mouthful? Is it too much to say? Here on NXT 2.0 instead of just saying NXT.
I like it. They're trying to, just rip that Band-Aid off. Like, it's new. This is something completely different. What you saw before this week, it's gone. That's in the past. This is the future. This is going forward. So I like the idea of 2.0. Was it over with the crowd? Because I know Johnny Ding Ding I know he was always trying to get us a chant when we were there. Did he didn't try to get the 2.0 chant going?
He was heavily involved. Johnny Ding Ding was heavily involved this week, trying to get that crowd up there. There was some parts of the show that the crowd was like really up for it. But yeah, man, it was like, how sometimes it was like really rowdy and Full Sail or really it wasn't like that. But I think they just need to get used to it. Let me just put it like that. I think they just need to get used to it. I, for one, from a production standpoint,
and you were there.
I liked it. I liked it from a production standpoint, just because it looks bigger, it looks wider. The way that they set it up, it looks so much bigger, but you fit less people.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting dynamic.
And it's new. It's something that we need to get used to. We're not going to have those barbed wire, plexiglass like we had at CWC. Like, this is again new, and I don't think they're referenced it as CWC anymore, right? It's just from the Performance Center.
It doesn't say CWC. I didn't see the Capitol Wrestling Center.
So it's a new day, Jose. Yes, it is. We got a new.
Yes, it is. Champion. It's Raw Light, SmackDown Light. That's basically what it is. It's a bunch of LED.
What it felt like. That's what it felt like. It felt brighter. It felt more like not as grimy, like you mentioned earlier. On the recap, like it didn't feel as grimy as we saw, like in like Fight Club-ish feel. It felt like it's a part of Raw.
And that was the charm event of the when it was Black and Gold brand. That was the charm about it. It was like almost like a Fight Club. It was like an exclusive club that you'd have to join, and not a lot of people can make it to. Now it just feels like, it has the Vince McMahon touch to it. It has that Bruce Pritchard touch to it. Full of colors, brights, lasers, LED panels everywhere. And, I'm a production geek, so I can appreciate those things. But also from like the wrestling fan standpoint, while I'm looking and listening to people's reactions in the crowd and waiting in line or coming out of the bus and just kind of talking it over, there was a lot of people that really enjoyed it. I really didn't have any negative people that were there that say that they didn't enjoy it. Now I have seen a lot of people online just absolutely destroying it, not even giving it a chance, not keeping an open mind. But like Anthony Manzano here says, he likes the rest of the aesthetic for the NXT barriers. Reminded me a little bit of the old school Raw, his war from the 90s, but the logos just felt like Nickelodeon threw all over it. And yeah, it does have a very studio feel to it. It has a very like an NWA type of feel to it because it's a small space that looks so big, So that's what's cool about it. And you just got to give it time, because now they're introducing a bunch of new stars, and that's the only that's probably one of my major nitpicks with NXT 2.0 this week is just the amount of debuts. So many debuts. And then you make a debut on your title match. I mean, it's just because all that just happened last minute, but just so many debuts, Rico. I don't know if you feel the same way, but I just felt it was like overwhelmed with debuts. Like, you didn't need to have that many debuts. Okay, we get it. You're a new show.
Yeah,
we get it.
Like, I think they went they went full tilt into it. So instead of just going along with the curve, they just turned hard right into it and just did it 100%. Like, hey, this is it. This is new. It's NXT 2.0. It's not just NXT. It's 2.0. So again, we're all about the younger talent. We're going to be building these people up. So guess what? You're not going to be having a lot more of these vignettes and everything with all these older guys. It's going to be about this new talent. And right off the bat, which I thought was a great segue that they had into the beginning of the show, they had all four of the members, or for the participants rather, of the Fatal 4-Way match for the vacated NXT Championship, because again, Samoa Joe did have to relinquish his title this past weekend. He did on a video on Twitter saying that basically NXT's medical personnel are holding him off, for an undetermined amount of time. So he had to relinquish the title, which made this match actually a Fatal 4-Way match. And all the guys had a vignette ending with LA Knight, who happened to be turning away and walks right into Bronson Rick Steiner, a.k.a. Rex Steiner, which should have still been his name, a.k.a. Braun Breaker. I thought he said Groundbreaker the first time. I'm like,
Braun Breaker.
Calm down. Braun Breaker. I like Rick Steiner so well, and it would have worked. You have Randy Orton.
Rex Steiner? Yes.
Have Rex
absolutely.
Steiner. It works, but no, we got Braun Breaker, who, like a happy kid, he's ready, chopping at the bit to make a name for himself, kind of like a more giddy John Cena on his first night.
Yes. It's a good example.
He challenges LA Knight, but he gets the win in the very not dominating, because he took a lot of offense from LA Knight, but the way he's ended his finisher, which you brought up, like very Goldberg-esque, with having the gorilla press right into the power slam, fits him well, and he did it great along with his wrestling background. Like all the amateur wrestling like he did, where instead of just the jump, the leapfrog after he dives down, no, he went and he grabbed him by the waist and lifted LA Knight straight up. Like strong
kid, man.
They are already pushing him, because even at the end of the debut episode of NXT 2.0, he faced off against the NXT champ, which we'll get into in a bit. But they see huge things in his future already. If you have him beat LA Knight and then already go face to face against the NXT champ, he's gonna be holding that title very soon.
Yeah, man, I think so. I think Bronson is a good talent, and looks like they're firmly behind him. But we'll see what the future holds for a good old Braun Breaker. But we did have Marcel Bartel and Fabian Eichner of Imperium going up against the newly formed tag team of Brooks Jensen and Josh Briggs. Imperium getting a solid win. But I kind of like this hookup of Brooks Jensen and Josh Briggs, kind of an old school vibe to them. I can appreciate that. But Imperium looking great as always. BFAP made her debut from Hit Row. And she went against Katrina Cortez. If you remember Katrina, she was featured in the early episodes of the Pandemic era in the Performance Center, which was really bad. I think she was part of Raw Underground at some point. I think she got beat up. But yeah,
anything positive with her, basically.
No, they really haven't done anything positive for her. But BFAB showed up, showed out. Everybody can do this. That's what she said. Everybody in this group can do this.
Some people do it better than others, but
some people do it better than others. Yeah, in your group, yeah. I agree with that.
But again, this is going to show that now we're probably going to get an 8-person intergender tag match between Legado and Hit Row at some point, which I'm down for. Because, just seeing any sort of combination between these two factions in the ring, I think is going to be entertaining. But that's going to be, for a later time. So it's, they still have focus on these two groups. So even though these are two more veteran-led groups, even though NXT is more focused on the young talent, these are two factions that are well established, that have really talented people. So we're going to still see a little bit more of them too. But man, the essential conclusion, Jose, it's coming to an end. The greatest love story ever told.
The greatest storyline ever told on NXT.
Slowly but surely, we have the preparations going on backstage.
So good. You know what? Let's just get this out of the way. This wedding was everything. And I was there in person. It was absolutely great. It delivered on comedy, on laughter. I cried, I laughed, I hugged. It was a great experience being present for that once in a lifetime wedding, that wrestling wedding, mind you not, that went well. A wrestling wedding that went well.
And so many
besides the
ways.
minor choke out from the Reverend, he had to get that out of the way.
It works. Like even from the beginning part here where the groomsmen are getting backstage, Austin Theory makes his return, and which I thought was a nice moment between him and Gargano and everybody else. But he brought along a priest, Jose. And that is Damian Priest, who I just love his interaction. And he's just gotten so much more comfortable in his character where he's like, yeah, man, I'm not a real priest. Hey, but I'm here for party. I'm here for the party. So open bar, right? And then Cameron Grimes, got to help him out. But man, all the spots in this wedding, from Austin Theory not having the rings, and it was Hillman Jr had the rings here, giving it to him. When people asked them about, does anybody want to speak? If there's anybody with reason that these two should not be wed, and they're like the guys raising it. He keep that thing on them.
Shows the axe, bro. Shows that axe.
That thing on the axe from the axe throwing.
It was great.
And everybody's here just like, yeah, no. The part where Indy was talking about a story where he got into the house, he snuck into the house. Nope. Put a hand on the mic. And then of course, like you said, like when the priest was like, "You're not gonna say anything," she just like let her heart out to you with her vows. You're not gonna say anything, and then he gets choked out. But Beth Phoenix just ready. She got ordained the night before and was able to complete it. And we finally heard the first two words out of Dexter Lumis's mouth, and they were "I do." The wedding went off without a hitch, man.
Oh my God. Beth Phoenix's face was priceless. Like everybody's reaction in the entire arena was so good when Dexter Lumis said "I do," and you have the entire audience, and then everybody in the ring was like this huge sigh, this huge gasp. Like, oh my God, I can't believe that. It was hilarious. It was so good.
Man, I'm so glad. I mean, there always has to be that one person, and we heard him on TV, the guy in the crowd that had to be a jackass and say something stupid. But I did like just, the fact that this closed out the show. So that's how much they had faith in this segment. And I think they knocked it out of the park. And that's it, man. Like, I don't know how they're going to continue this. If there's going to be a part 2 to the storyline with them as newlyweds, I can only hope, because this has been great so far. So hopefully we'll continue to see more of this. But let's get back to the actual wrestling, because that's a wrestling show too, which we got Carmelo Hayes, who brought out his partner, Trick Williams. That dude is incredibly athletic, because that spinning, that jumping kick that he did, he looks in phenomenal shape. And him and Carmelo on the mic together, I think they're gonna drop down some solid.
They're over. And I said this a little bit early in the show today, because we were touching a little bit about NXT last night. Carmelo Hayes, even though it looks like he's going to heel, he's still over. During commercial breaks, everybody's chanting "Melo, Melo." The guy is over. The guy, charismatic as hell. And Trick, bruh, I think Trick is is out of this world too.
Our talent, man. So I'm like, who is this guy? Oh, he can do that. That's only a little bit. I can only imagine what the rest of the things he can do in the ring. It's like if you gave Montez Ford the super soldier serum. Like, he just looks like a leveled up version of Montez. I can only imagine if he can jump as high or do some high flying stuff like that. I can only imagine, man. But of course, it looks like we're gonna get them in a tag team match against or not in a tag team match, but Duke Hudson came out. Duke Hudson, of course, was one of the guys Carmelo beat in the breakout tournament, and he got beat down by both of them. So that was not a smart move on his part.
No, it was not. It absolutely wasn't. We had some tag team action here.
Girls, man.
Yeah, Casey and Caden. They got a good, solid win over Gigi Dolan and JC Jane by DQ, though, because now we got one Miss Mandy Rose, who's now Puerto Rican, probably, right? Because she be looking mega Boricua Changalicious up in here. Man. But I absolutely loved it. And now we know that they are a stable indeed, Rico. Toxic, was it Toxic Attraction?
Is that what the official name was? Oh, dude.
Toxic Attraction. That is the official name of that faction. And I'm okay with it.
You know,
at least it's not sorority slaughterhouse or whatever.
Sorority.
Submission
sorority. But hey, I lean more towards the brunette side anyway, so I actually like this. I dig this look from Mandy Rose, but I just didn't know that a drop kick to the face from Saray was powerful enough to make her go brunette. But apparently, that's how strong Saray is, man.
Yeah.
And I was just gonna say, and speaking about strong, we'd have Ridge Holland and Pete Dunne as in between the segments of the night. They were showing all the competitors for the Fatal 4-Way getting ready. This time they showed Kyle O'Reilly, who proceeded to get his ass beat down by Pete Dunne and Ridge Holland, which, you know, smart strategy. That's one of the favorites to possibly win this match. And he gets taken out. It's easier to win a triple threat than a Fatal 4-Way. But William Regal tells Mackenzie Mitchell backstage that this will still be a Fatal 4-Way match. And the one replacing him is the one that found him. It's going to be Von Wagner. So this new kid, I was like, yeah. Since when did Great Khali and Kane have a love child together? I know what he looked like. I mean, he held his own against the other three guys.
Like
he held his own, and we'll talk about it a little bit. But you know, it was like, who is this guy? So they're really focusing on this new talent. But the new talent that they did focus on was the Creed brothers, who once again just look freaking dominating in the tag team division, which it looks like there might not be a tag team division anymore once they give this guys the titles, because
these guys are ruthless, man.
Everybody, I love it. They're very aggressive, like them hitting themselves to get psyched up in the middle of the matches.
Yo, when I saw, because I remember seeing that last week, I was like, okay, like just slapping bro. This time they're in person. When he slapped his partner, his brother, bro, you saw that cloud of sweat go into the studio. I was like, what? Like, just to hype. You imagine me trying to hype you up, Rico, and I'd be like, come on, Rico, and I slap the shit out of you, just like as hard as I can to your face, just to get you hyped up. I'd be like, ow.
You'll be looking like the face slapping competitions where you like hit me and probably knock me out. Just because like, what are you gonna slap me in the face for, man? But they look devastating, especially the finisher when he slams him down and like for like no reason, because he's down. Yeah, I'm gonna hit you with a big lariat too. Like these guys are just devastating. I'm looking forward to seeing more of them.
I like it.
They also introduced the female member of the Diamond Mine, and Ivy Nile, who is like, yes, Jordan Grace is like little Mama Pump. Like, she is the littlest Mama Pumpiest, because she's like as small or smaller than Jordan Grace, but she is just as jacked. So I can only imagine like how she's gonna do in the ring if they continue to develop the talent the way they do.
And she's a former MMA fighter too, and she was featured in the Titan games.
That's where they mentioned. And like, man, she looks like a solid addition to them. And again, I told you in the chat, like, now every faction has to have at least one girl in it. So you gotta have 3 guys, 1 girl to be a proper faction.
Now that Legado's got their girl
and Hit Row, so Diamond Mine's got it. So there's 3 factions that meet the criteria of 3 guys, 1 girl, which that didn't sound right coming out of my mouth. But
no.
But the good thing is we got the return of Kushida, who interrupts Malcolm Bivens and the rest of Diamond Mine, and he essentially proposes he challenges essentially Roderick Strong, because they hadn't had the chance yet, because that match got scrapped about a month ago now that it was supposed to be Roderick Strong versus Kushida for the NXT Cruiserweight Championship, and now we're gonna get it next week. So we have already a title match on the books for next week, which that should be a good one, man. Kushida and Roderick Strong, I'm sure they can tear it down.
Yeah, we know that they're gonna tear it down, especially when you got the Messiah, the Backbreaker, and you got the Time Skipper, bro. Come on. This is gonna be a classic right there. But last night on NXT, we crowned a brand new NXT champion. Goldie is back in its rightful place on the shoulders of one Tommaso Ciampa. Man, I was in between. I was like, it's going to be Ciampa, it's going to be LA Knight. When LA Knight didn't win at the top of the show, I'm like, they're not putting the belt on him tonight, because if not, they wouldn't have not made him lose.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, it's probably going to be Ciampa. And I'm happy, because I thought there for a moment that Von whatever that guy name is.
Von Wagner.
I thought for a moment he was going to get it. I was like, you better not put that on that dude. You know? Pete Dunne had an incredible showing, though. Pete Dunne was awesome last night. But Tommaso Ciampa absolutely killed it for the new rebranded, repackaged version of NXT 2.0. Do you think that the belt gets the bright colors too? Do they change the belts?
Only if they also do it for Big E. It only feels right that they both have like bright, shiny belts, because that's kind of their personality for the brand and him, I'm saying. But for Tommaso Ciampa, like, you cannot change that belt of Goldie while he has it in his hands. I think once they crown a new champion, sure. But right now, at this moment, he got his Goldie back. You can't be changing that color.
Here's a great comment here from Anthony Manzano saying, I'm predicting this already, Rico, that once Gable and Bobby debut, they pair him up with the Creed brothers. The Creed brothers are the tag team, and Bobby and Gable are in the singles competitors. So a trio with Gable and the Creed brothers. Damn.
Like a new Minnesota
That's a good team up.
Like, how many times have we talked about like having a stable of pure amateur wrestlers? That would have been great. Like having Dolph Ziggler.
I think probably once a month we mentioned it.
They had him. They had like Jason Jordan, Chad Gable, Dolph Ziggler. Like they had Bobby Lashley's back. They have all these talented amateur wrestlers and Shelton Benjamin. Like they could have formed the stable. They have even more potential here. Diamond Mine is a great segue into it. But man, yeah, bringing up the names here. And I think I forgot who mentioned it earlier, but somebody mentioned Parker Bordeaux too. Like imagine him being, debuted in either part of the Diamond Mine or even teaming up, with somebody else, like say Braun Breaker to be a strong tag team. Like there's a lot of potential. Like there's some big beefy guys from amateur wrestling that can really leave their mark here. Like it's like they stacked the numbers in their favor. We're going to find the next Kurt Angle. It's going to be the first one that actually steps up and fill those shoes. And the potential is there, man.
I think they already got it with Gable Stevenson, bro. He's been training with Brock. I think that kid right there, that's going to be the next generation of greatness right there in Gable Stevenson. If you guys watched the gold medal match at the Olympics, it was amazing. He won that match in the last 10 seconds. Mm-hmm. That's how great that kid is. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what's going on with Gable Stevenson. And I don't know. Again, I'm keeping an open mind. I like this week's NXT. For the revamp, I'm also going to give it an 8. We had tons and tons of debuts, but that's okay because it's a brand new show. They're really making it noticeable that this is not the same NXT from before. This is a different show. This is what we're doing. This is the direction that we're going. And the direction is pretty clear that they want to stick with the young talent. They have a huge class of recruits, and now they're using them. And let's use them.
And that was a great moment backstage after Braun Breaker got the win over LA Knight.
You still have trouble saying it, don't you?
It like I have to think about it because I'm gonna say probably like Braun Strowman or something just because it just used to it saying it. But all the rest of the class was there. They were backstage and they were all giving them high fives. We even had the missing Fatu brother that was back there. His last one that gave him a solid handshake on his win. So they put him on TV. So they're really setting up the stage for these guys, especially again, like we mentioned earlier, at the end of the night, as Tommaso Ciampa's watching the wedding unfold backstage on a TV, Braun Breaker comes in and he introduces himself to the champion and he can't take his eyes off of Goldie. So it looks like that might be the very first feud for the now two-time NXT champion Tommaso Ciampa. Looks like he's going to go up against one of the young guns in one Braun Breaker.
Taking some of your comments here before we sign out for the night. One more comment here from Manzano. He's dropping the knowledge tonight. He's dropping a lot of stuff. Thank you so much for engaging tonight, Anthony. He's saying, Rico, for me, it didn't make sense that they took Kyle out of the match. Why not take out Eli Drake in the match since he lost early in the night and put Breaker in instead of Vaughn, and put Brown in instead of Brown? Yes, I agree. I think if Eli could have stayed in the match because he was already named in the match, but in order for him to get someone in there, he had to defeat LA Knight, and Breaker should have been in that match. I think that would have been cool. I would have liked to see Breaker in that Fatal 4-Way.
I would have even been fine with Rich Holland, who got the win over poor Drake Maverick because it was just that quick. But why not attack a weakened already LA Knight? Like, he just went through this match against Braun Breaker. Why not attack him and take him out completely? And that could have set that up too. So I guess they have something planned down the road for Kyle, if not in NXT, maybe on one of the other two shows, because, again, they're building up these younger talent guys. But, who knows? This was a nice little highlight for Von Wagner. I still think, obviously, it would have been too early to put him over, but they want to see what he can do with these top guys. But really, that match was about Pete Dunne, Tommaso Ciampa, especially in their history. And you got another talented guy in LA Knight, which he had added even more to the storytelling between those three guys. And then this young gunner over here, this tall Kane-looking dude over here. But I still enjoy the match. And because of that match, I give the slight edge overall to the show to NXT this week. I give it an 8, just because we had an amazing wedding. We had more matches. We had an incredible, main event, and then we got to see some, so
that's what I call a non-biased assessment. I like that. I like that. You can't put over AEW all the time. And this is going to be probably an unpopular opinion, but I'm going to have to agree with you. Even though, it was from a storytelling aspect, it was because of that wedding, right? It's the entertainment part of it, right? And when you're a geek, you want to be entertained, you're going to enjoy those type of things. AEW was a good show. I'm not saying that it was bad. I'm not saying that it was beyond better. It was full of vignettes, and I think that's what really hurt it, But at the same time, I understand when you put in vignettes, kind of recap people what's going on before you have a big show. Next week, they have 2 big shows. So I understand that. And I totally respect you, Rico, for that.
Yeah, like you said, I enjoyed AEW, but it did so much to set up all the stuff for next week that it kind of took me out of it. But this was an enjoyable NXT. And, just trying to approach it with open eyes, with a new set, with the new lights. And I like at the end when Tommaso won that they turned that whole big backboard, the LED backboard, to say, and new NXT champion Tommaso Ciampa, kind of like the backboard we used to see still see on SmackDown, essentially. So it has that kind of SmackDown feel. And that was a very SmackDown moment when they talked from the beginning of 914 days or something that Tommaso Ciampa has not held Goldie. And now here he is holding him. I just thought that whole storyline was great. The wedding was very entertaining. I was thoroughly entertained with this episode. And then continue to see that not only are we getting these new guys that are incredibly talented in Braun Breaker and also in the Creed brothers, but you still
don't want to let it go.
I don't. Rick Steiner. Just call it Rex Steiner. Just Rick Steiner. But we're still keeping some of the older things. Some of the more vets in there. We're not losing Hit Row and other Fantasma. We still got Imperium. So imagine that match when we eventually get Imperium, taking the belts off of MSK. Or how about this, Jose? You'll be happy. MSK gets wrecked by the Creed brothers.
I'm okay with that.
That's gonna happen.
I'm perfectly fine. Okay with that.
That's easy going to happen. And then you're even setting up the women's division, because we haven't really touched on the women's tag team division, because they're not doing much with Zoe Stark and Io Shirai. At least Io was at the wedding, sitting next to Hillman Jr. or next to Kushida. But they're actually building something with Gigi Dolan and JC Jane along with Mandy Rose. Still got Caden Carter and Casey Catanzaro. So I like how they're still keeping the new talent, but with the old. So overall, I enjoyed this episode. And we also got the vignette by Tony D'Angelo. So even another new face that's going to be featured more. And that's how you do a quick vignette. That's it. This is where he comes from. This is who he is. Pay attention to me. As opposed to every single other vignette that we got in AEW was to set up purposely a match. So I get the slight nod just this week. It might not be the same next week when we had 2 Grand Slams. But I'm going to get the slight nod this one to NXT. I enjoyed it.
Well, bro, NXT has its moments, and I think this week they needed to have that moment, especially with all the hype around it, with all the talk around it. Again, keep an open mind. We're going to see tons of more faces in the next coming weeks and months, and the colors are going to stay the same, all right? They're not going to go anywhere. It's still going to be Nickelodeon colors. But you know what? It's okay, because at the end of the day, we're all winners here. You know why? Because we get to enjoy all this wrestling, all right? So, guys, remember, subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button, notification bell, never ever miss when we drop a new video. Hit that like button on Facebook, share in your favorite wrestling group, tag your friends in the comment section if you're watching on demand, all right? Also, check us out on the podcast, all right? If you want to listen to us in the podcast, if you can't have time to watch us on video, listen to us in the podcast. Go ahead and download it on your favorite Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. We're in the top 100 in wrestling podcasts in the United States. So that's thanks to you guys. I want to thank you so much for that, all right? Go ahead and give me a follow at Jose G Official. Follow Rico at Rico El Glorioso on Instagram and on Twitter. So that's it for tonight, guys. I'll be back tomorrow on the top story, and we'll be back with Recons of Wrestling. So make sure you go ahead and give us a follow and check us out tomorrow night, 8 p.m. here on Facebook, YouTube, and on Twitch.tv. So, all right. So for Rico El Glorioso, I'm Jose G. And remember, when watching wrestling, what do you got to do, Rico?
Enjoy it. Enjoy wrestling.